We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Gimel Amud Beis. This is Berachos Daf 23b. The Gemara just finished saying that Rabbi Yochanan, when he would go to the bathroom, he would take his tefillin with him, and the reason was because he said, since I'm permitted to take them in ninatron, let them protect me from the mazikin. Amar Rava said, Ki hava azlinan basri de Rabbi Gamliel. We went after Rabbi Gamliel. This is probably, even though it looks like a Gimel, it's probably actually supposed to be Rav Nachman. Rava lived at the time of Rav Nachman, not Rabbi Gamliel. So when we went after Rav Nachman, Ki hava nakit sifra dagarata, when he was holding a sefer of Agarata Yoevlon, he would give it to us. Ki hava nakit tefillin, when he was holding tefillin lo Yoevlon, he would not give it to us. Same idea. Amar, he said, Hol v'sharun Rabbanan, since the Rabbanan allowed us to take it in order to protect them, Nenatra, and let them also protect us. That's the same as what happened with Rabbi Yochanan. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a brayso, lo yochaz adam tefillin biyado v'sefer Torah b'zro v'yispalel. A person should not hold tefillin in his hand and a sefer Torah in his arm, and daven v'lo yashtin b'hen mayim. And a person should also not go to the bathroom with them to urinate. V'lo yishin b'hen lo shinas keva v'lo shinas arai. A person should also not sleep with tefillin, whether it be a long sleep or whether it be a nap. Amar Shmuel says, sakin, a knife, umos, and money, uka'ara, and a plate, v'kikar, and bread, harei elo kayotzi ben. They're all similar, meaning all of those things, a person would be afraid that they might fall out of his hand, so a person should not daven when he is holding those things. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Sheshes. Rava says in the name of Rav Sheshes, Les hilchasa ki ha masnisa. He says the halacha is not like this brisa. The Beis Shammai, because it's Beis Shammai. The E Beis Hillel, because if it was like Beis Hillel, hashta Beis Hakise kavua shari Beis Hakise rami boy. So this is referring to what we said before. Beis Hillel in the previous Amud said that even in a Beis Hakise kavua, a person is allowed to take in tefillin. So Rava is now saying in the name of Rav Sheshes that if that is the case, so in a Beis Hakise arai, meaning when a person is just urinating, certainly he should be able to take his tefillin. So why does it say in this earlier brisa v'lo yashtin bohen mayim? Over here it said v'lo yashtin bohen mayim. A person should not urinate in the tefillin. It does not seem to be consistent with Beis Hillel, so it must be Beis Shammai who prohibited going into a Beis Hakise kavua. So Beis Hakise arai, boy, you need to tell me that a Beis Hakise arai, certainly it should be permitted. So the Gemara says no. Meisvei, we have a question from a brisa, and the whole goal of this brisa is going to be to prove that Beis Hillel makes a counterintuitive distinction. This is actually going to be the end of the Gemara. The Gemara is going to end up saying that Beis Hillel holds even though a person is allowed to take tefillin into a Beis Hakise kavua, he is not allowed to urinate in tefillin, and we're going to explain why. But right now they're going to start with a kasha. So Meisvei, we ask from a brisa. Dvarim shetardi loch kan, asardi loch kan. So this is a statement, it's a little hard to understand. The statement just says, that which I permitted here, I forbid, I said is usher over here. So what does this strange statement mean, and who's saying it? So the Gemara says, my love, aren't we talking about tefillin? Aren't we talking about tefillin over here? That there's a scenario where tefillin was permitted, but was forbidden somewhere else. So, now if you say this statement was made by Beis Hillel, hitarti lach kan kavua, means to say Beis Hillel is saying, I allowed you in a Beis Hakise kavua to bring the tefillin, but asarti lach kan Beis Hakise arai. But in a Beis Hakise arai, meaning when the person is urinating, I did not allow it. So this kind of strange statement in the brisa would fit well if Beis Hillel made this kind of strange distinction between a Beis Hakise kavua and a Beis Hakise arai. El iyamr Beis Shammai, but if you say the statement is Beis Shammai, halo sharu v'lo midi, they never allow, they don't allow Beis Hakise kavua, they don't allow Beis Hakise arai, the statement wouldn't fit, so it would seem to prove that Beis Hillel makes this counterintuitive distinction. So the Gemara says, no, you have that brisa totally wrong. It has nothing to do with taking tefillin into the bathroom. That brisa has to do with a totally different issue. It has to do with how much a person is allowed to uncover himself or herself when they go to the bathroom, which we call tefach and tefachayim, that there's sometimes you're allowed to uncover 1 tefach amount of space, and sometimes you're allowed to uncover 2 tefach. The Tani Chada, because we have one brisa which says, Keshu Nifna, when a person is going to the bathroom, Megala la'achar of tefach, ulafan of tefachayim. He can uncover behind himself 1 tefach, and in his front 2 tefachim. We have another brisa, la'achar of tefach, ulafan of v'lo klum. And there's another brisa which said you can uncover, again, behind will be 1 tefach, and in front of himself, he can't uncover at all. So my lav, idi v'idi bish. So the Gemara starts off saying both brises. The contradiction here is in the front. How much can he uncover in the front? Is it 2 tefach or 2 tefachim, or is it nothing? So let's assume that both brises right now are talking about with a man. V'lo kasha kan legedolim kan lekatanim. And the distinction is the person defecating or is the person urinating? So that will be the distinction, that a person is allowed to uncover in the front if he's urinating. So the Gemara said doesn't make sense either. V'tizbura, is that logical? If the person is urinating, why should he have to uncover himself in the back at all? So now the Gemara says both brises are talking about the person is defecating. V'lo kasha is not a kasha. Habi'ish, habi'isha. That the brisa is making a distinction between a man and a woman. And let's see Rashi over here just to understand the distinction. Rashi says, Ela idi v'idi b'gedolim, so both are talking about when the person is defecating, and we're going to make a distinction between a man and a woman as follows. A person who's going to the bathroom to defecate is going to come to urinate also, because that's what happens. And by a man, he will be allowed to uncover himself both in the back and in the front in such a scenario. But a woman simply will not have a need to do that, so she won't have to uncover herself in the front. Okay, and that was going to be the explanation of the brisa before, the strange wording of the brisa. The brisa was simply saying there are some things which are forbidden by a woman to uncover in the front that are permitted by a man. Okay, so according to all of this, the point is that strange brisa will have absolutely nothing to do with a person going to the bathroom in tefillin. It has to do with how much a person can uncover himself or herself, and the brisas are making distinctions between men and women. So the Gemara says, if so, that which it says about this brisa, that there's a kal v'chomer in this brisa, which is irrefutable. So meaning that that basically the brisa is so counterintuitive we can't even explain it. So the Gemara says it doesn't make any sense. My anal of teshuva. What do you mean it's so counterintuitive? There's no way to explain it. If the brisa is making a distinction between a man and a woman, all right? If the brisa is making a distinction and saying that a woman cannot uncover in the front, that's normal anatomy of human beings. So that really is not a good explanation of this brisa, which says that that which was permitted here is forbidden over here. So the Gemara now circles all the way back to its original assumption. Rather, forget this whole explanation. This whole explanation that we gave, that this strangely worded brisa is referring to the distinction between a man and a woman, what's permitted, what's forbidden in terms of uncovering, cannot be true, because that's not a kal v'chomer that has no explanation. Rather, go back to our original explanation. It's tefillin, and in fact, it is Beis Hillel, and Beis Hillel makes the counterintuitive distinction between a person who is defecate, a person going to a Beis HaKisei Kavua, and a person who is urinating in a Beis HaKisei Arai. Utiyuvta de Rava, and this will in fact be a refutation of Rava, because Rava said that only Beis Shammai would forbid urinating in tefillin. No, in fact, Beis Hillel forbids it as well. So Rav Sheshes tiyuvta. Rav Sheshes said, yes, indeed, it is in fact a tiyuvta of Rava. But the Gemara says, Mikol makom kasha. We still have a difficulty over here. The original difficulty. Hashta beis hakisei kavua shari. What Rava said originally was, if a beis hakisei kavua is permitted to go in tefillin, beis hakisei arai lo kol shekain. Certainly, beis hakisei arai you should be allowed to. That is a kal v'chomer. What is the response? Why is Beis Hillel strict by a beis hakisei arai by urinating? So the Gemara says, Hachi ka'amar. This is the answer. Beis hakisei kavua deleka nitzotzos shari. By a beis hakisei kavua, when the person's not urinating, there's nothing that gets on their shoes that needs to be cleaned up. Beis hakisei arai dika nitzotzos. But by beis hakisei arai, when a person is urinating, so there might be some nitzotzos, some of the urine will get upon the person's feet or on his shoes. Asri, they did not allow tefillin because the person would not be able to hold the tefillin and also clean his shoes. Rashi explains that it's actually an obligation for a person to clean his feet, to clean his shoes after they urinate, because otherwise the person could be suspected that he's a krus shivcha, that he's not able to have children. So therefore it was important for the person to clean themselves, to clean their feet, that area, and therefore they can't bring in their tefillin, and that was the reason for this counterintuitive halacha of Beis Hillel not to take tefillin when the person's urinating. So the Gemara says, Iachi, if so, amay enel of teshuva mal yasahi. What do you mean there's no response to the kal v'chomer? There's a great answer. The answer is that the person has to clean off his shoes, and that's why he can't take the tefillin. So the Gemara explains very simply. Hachi kamer. Here's what it meant. Ha milsa tesi la b'toras taima. This idea we can explain with reason. V'lo tesi la b'kal v'chomer. But there is no kal v'chomer. Diasi la b'toras kal v'chomer zeh kal v'chomer she'elav shuv. If you're going to try kal v'chomer here, it's a kal v'chomer with no response. Okay, so in the end of this Gemara, as we said before, Beis Hillel does make the counterintuitive distinction. Says you can go into a beis hakisei kavua with tefillin, but you cannot urinate with tefillin. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a brayso, harotz likanes lusuudas keva. Let's say somebody wants to enter a real meal, a permanent meal. Mahalech asara pa'amim daled amos or daled pa'amim yud amos v'yifna. So first, person should not go to the bathroom in the middle of the meal. It's not appropriate. So before the meal starts, he should either walk 10 times 4 amos or 4 times 10 amos. The point is he should walk 40 amos. And that will cause him to be able to go to the bathroom. Then it's appropriate to begin the meal. Rabbi Yitzchak says, Hanichnas l'sudas keva choletz tefilov. Also, if a person enters a sudas keva, he should take off his tefillin ve'achrach nichnas, and then enter without tefillin, because it could be inappropriate. Person gets drunk or whatever, does inappropriate things. He should not be wearing tefillin. Upliga de Rabbi Chia, but this argues in Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia said, Menichan al shulchano v'chein haderlo. It's more appropriate to put the tefillin on the table so that they are ready to be put on when the person is ready to put them on. V'yad emas, until what point? When do you put the tefillin on? Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak adzman bracha, until the time of the bracha, until the time when it's time to bench. Tani Chad, we learned in one brayso, Tzorer Adam Tfilav Im Ma'osav Ba'afraksuso, that a person can wrap his tefillin with his money in his turban. There's no problem with using the same container, so to speak, for both money and tefillin. But Tanya Yidach Lo Yatzer, there's another one that says it isn't appropriate. You shouldn't put the money with the tefillin. So the Gemara says Lo Kash is not difficult. Hada Azmene, Hada Lo Azmene. It depends on the designation of this item. Was it designated for the tefillin? Then it shouldn't have money. Was it not designated? Gemara will elaborate. The Amar of Chisda said, Hai Sudr, if a person has a handkerchief, the tefillin which is set aside for containing tefillin. So the azmene lemeitzer but tefillin, and it was set aside for containing tefillin. So tsar be tefillin aser. If he's used it for tefillin once, then it becomes aser lemeitzer be pshita. They put money in there. Azmene velo tsar be. But if he's designated but wasn't used, or tsar be velo azmene, if it was used but wasn't designated, shari lemeitzer be zuze, then you could put in money. So that's the distinction when you're allowed to use this handkerchief or this container for money or not. Uli Abaye damer hazmana milsi. Now Abaye holds that designation alone is significant. So he's going to have a slightly different distinction. Azmene alpha gav de lo tsarbe. Once you designate, even if the person did not use it for tefillin, it would be forbidden to put money. But sarbe, if he used it for tefillin, azmene aser, only if he designated it's a problem. Elo azmene lo. But if he did not designate it all, it depends on designation. If he didn't designate it for tefillin, no problem putting in the money as well. Bamine Rav Yosef breder Rav Nechunya me Rav Yehuda. Rav Yosef, the son of Rav Nechunya, asked Rav Yehuda the following question: Ma'u sheyaniach adam tefillah tachas merashosov. When a person's sleeping, is he allowed to put his tefillin under his head? Tachas margalosav lo kami boili. Under his feet is not even a question to me. Shanoig behen minag bizayin. That is inappropriate thing to do with tefillin. It's a bizayin. Ki kami boili tachas merashosov. My question is under his head. What's the halacha? Amar lei setem hachi amar Shmuel mutter. It's mutter to put it under his head. Afilu ishto imo, even if his wife is with him in the bed. Meisvei, they asked from a brayso, lo yaniach adam tefillah tachas margalosav amnei shanoig behen minag derech bizayin. A person should not put the tefillin under his feet because it is a bizayin. Aval menichan tachas merashos, if he should put it under his head. Vim haisa ishto imo, but if his wife is with him, also it's a problem. Only hayamakom shekavol gimel tvachim or namachimel tvachim mutter. When his wife is with him, it's only okay if the area is 3 tvachim above or 3 tvachim below. But other than that, it is problematic. So it seems like it's problematic when the person's wife is with him. Tiyufta de Shmuel, Tiyufta. The Gemara says, indeed, this is a refutation of Shmuel. It is problematic. Amar Rava says, Avagav de Tanya Tiyufta de Shmuel hilchas hakavase. Even though we have a brayso that is a refutation for Shmuel, the halacha actually follows him. My time, what is the reason? And the Gemara will explain on Daf Chavdal and Amar Aleph what the reason is.